Hello and welcome. This is Vince Dowd, the founder of hijackedmind.com, where we help people reclaim their power and unleash their inner alchemist and develop a healthy, authentic, rich, and full life. I had a actual request by Craig on my channel to do a quick video on Dogecoin or Dogecoin, however you want to pronounce it. And I wanted to do this, again, coming to you as a trader, not as an expert in the crypto field. Now, my goal with cryptocurrencies from the very beginning was a decentralization of power, having privacy coins, decentralized processes using the blockchain so that we can reclaim our power basically from those that are out there that want to not only control our lives, but control our thoughts and everything else. So when I look at coins, there's two ways to look at them. Number one, is the coin going to represent your basic core philosophy of freedom, of privacy, and of disruption into the future, of what it can do for the world in a positive way to give us all our power back? Or is the coin just basically a joke coin that can actually make you money because there's a big bubble going on? So there's two ways to look at it. And so looking at Dogecoin, I think it falls into the second category, which is not really valuable as a coin. I think this will probably disappear very quickly. Therefore, I probably wouldn't invest in it. Now, would you trade it? Yeah, particularly with this coin, it's moving, it's cheap. You could probably trade it. However, remember when you're trading these, you're incurring tax consequences and tracking issues. But if that's what you want to do, you can do that. So, Craig, let me get into this for you and everybody else so you can kind of see where it is here. So, cryptocurrency market cap shows that Dogecoin obviously is 0.009 cents, and it is down 12% today. Now, it has a huge market cap, 155 million in volume, and it has 112 billion plus coins in circulation. It's traded by multiple exchanges, but what scares me about this coin is it was created as a joke, and even the creator of the coin is talking about it here. And he walked away from this because he created this as a joke to poke fun at Bitcoin and the fact of cryptocurrencies. And it took off and it ended up doubling and tripling and going crazy. And it does remind me of what happened in the dot-com phase. When I was trading the dot-com stocks in the 90s, you know, companies would come out and just put a dot-com behind their name and watch their stocks skyrocket 100, 200, 300% in a matter of days simply because they changed their name. And by the way, let me show you how that's happened. This is not the best example, but I want to show you on a stock here that I actually invested in specifically for a trade, however, but it is an example of what happens when you get involved in the crypto space. So there's a company called Riot, which is a stock based out of Colorado, and they weren't doing so great, and all of a sudden they acquired a little company that's a blockchain company. And look what the stock did. It took off. So this stock was trading around $3.65. And then they acquired this blockchain company and it took off. And I doubled my money on this one actually. But it took off and it started moving higher because they ended up buying a company that has a blockchain technology behind it. So this is what happened in the dot-com days, where you saw these no-name companies that had no earnings exploding higher because they put a .com at the end of their name. So that's very scary to me when you see that happening. So if you read this article here from the New York Times, Jackson Palmer, the creator of Dogecoin, talks about how it is such a joke and a virus. I shouldn't say a virus, I should say a bubble. And that's a concern for me. So he stepped away. He even has videos out now trying to tell people about this. I do believe that we're experiencing a huge bubble. And I believe that most of these cryptocurrencies and ICOs are probably scams. There's nefarious people behind them in different countries that will probably never be caught making tons of money. And your money's at risk anytime you put them in any of these. So again, I just always say what I'm going to share with you is not advice or recommendation. It is meant specifically to inform you, educate you, and help you develop strategies of risk management, risk mitigation, and hopefully profitable scenarios. And maybe even kind of open your mind to a degree of understanding that we need to get our power back. So I want to support coins that have real value in doing that and great technologies, great teams, and really are working toward disrupting the industries around the planet. So that's what I want to do. Now, looking at Dogecoin, I want to show you this as well, that the actual Google trends have shown over the last 12 months, it had pretty low interest, and all of a sudden it took off here November, December timeframe. Well, that coincides with the big moves up in the cryptocurrency markets and people not being able to afford a Bitcoin. So they started looking at any coin necessary, which again is an issue because we don't want to have coins for the sake of having a coin. So this makes me really nervous. Now I'm just gonna tell you that I think, yeah, the coin can maybe make you some money, but let's look at it. Let's go over here to the chart. Okay, so this is the weekly chart on Dogecoin, and we can go back to see where it came out, and it started trading at a high. It collapsed upon people knowing that it was a joke, and it took time to develop this base, and then it took off. So this explosion happened back in March, and it went up drastically in value before it came back down and retraced about 50% of this move, and then it shot up again and broke out to new highs. So the volume is increasing, the MACD is strong. This is a strong position on the currency. So if you're asking me from a position of buying it to sell it, well, yes, it definitely isn't an uptrend. In fact, this 9-period moving average came down and bounced right off the 50-period moving average, and the red line is the 50-period moving average, and you can see that the actual coin found a lot of support at this 50-period moving average. So as long as this coin stays above the 50-period moving average, it's still in a potential long-term trend up. If it stays above the 9-period moving average, it's in a short-term trend up. MACD is still strong. So that's the weekly chart. Let's go down to the daily chart. On the daily chart, you can see it's moved, again, out of this rounded bottom with a lower low, and then we had this sideways pattern for quite a while. MACD started to accelerate right here, and then it's taken off over in this area here. So yes, it is a coin that you could probably invest in and get out. But here's the way I would look at it. If I was going to get in this coin, I don't trust the coin. I think it's just a bubble. I think it's not really usable. There's not a lot of value behind it. Some say it's a Litecoin, kind of with a little bit of extra tweaks. But again, we don't need a bunch of Litecoins. There's one Litecoin, and it has more value and more market cap. So I think it'd be a better investment to invest in Litecoin long-term than this coin. This coin will probably be out of business. But you can see here we have the 50 period just crossed up through the 200 period moving average, which is called the golden cross. So this is a very bullish scenario. This is the death cross, which happened back here in September. But anyway, so everything looks good. As long as it stays north of this trend line, it's probably going to keep going up. If I were buying this, I would not buy it now. It's at a high. I would wait for it to come back down to the trend line or to retest this area of resistance, which would become support, and then look to buy it, and then look for putting a stop loss underneath it, because this is something I would definitely want to be able to get out of, because there's too much risk in coins that have no real value in the world, and I don't think this does. Now, people are going to disagree with me because I see people on YouTube that get really intense about their beliefs about certain coins or certain people, and I'm looking at this as a trader, just looking at it like, listen, can you make money on it? Yes, I think you can make money on it. Does it look like a good uptrend right now? Yes, it does. If you buy it now, it could even go higher. It's best to buy off a trend line support levels or buy off a horizontal support levels or even moving averages like it was here. But again, I would put a risk management under it. So if I bought it, I would go below the last major pivot. And if you're not familiar with what a pivot is just basic. I'll show you. Here's a pivot right here. So the stock comes down, or the coin comes down, and then it pivots up. So that's a pivot. So if I was going to buy, let's say after it pivots, I buy it here on this sideways movement, my stop would go right underneath this pivot, and I would calculate the risk of my buy to my stop and see what the potential loss is, and I need to make at least 3 times that on the way up. So I need a 3-to-1 reward to risk ratio. So that's what you got to kind of calculate. But since this is such a cheap coin, there's probably not a lot of risk as long as you don't put a ton of money into it. But that is a Dogecoin from my perspective. I've kind of looked at it a little bit. I'm not going to research it really heavy simply because in the initial research, I see it was a joke coin. I see it was just supposed to be something that was fun, and now it's become a huge market cap, and that is scary to me. So I'd rather look at the top coins that are in the market, and whether it's Bitcoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin Cash, Ripple. Like Ripple has real value, although it's not a decentralized coin. So I own this one, but I own it only as a hedge against governmental authorities popping the crypto bubble, because they'll still use the technology for the banking system. So I'm looking at the top coins versus the cheap coins. We can always go and click on here and see what coin has moved up the most in 24 hours. In this case, it's Zcoin, up 55%. But it's a $155 coin. I know a lot of people are just trying to find the next Bitcoin that goes from under a cent to $20,000. And that's a fine thing to do. I just highly encourage people to look at quality coins, at least for the long-term investing, to support the movement of cryptocurrencies and decentralizing the control of the bankers. Okay? Because in the end, if you don't know this, keep in mind the Federal Reserve is not part of the government. It's an oligarchy of reserve bankers around the planet who are there to steal your money. They've been doing this since 1913, since they created the Federal Reserve off the Jekyll Island, and the entire thing is a Ponzi scheme. So I believe in the power coming back to the people by having proper privacy coins, getting rid of the politicians, getting rid of the bankers, and having this mathematics, the blockchain, the hash graph, whatever it is that we're researching here, become the trusted source for us. Yet I don't always trust technology either, so I think you should always have a second option set up to protect yourself against digital hacking or digital collapse if the grid goes down. I know it sounds crazy, but listen, it's like insurance. Why would you drive around with insurance if you're a good driver? Just in case. Just in case something happens, you're not going to be stressed out, okay? So that's the way I look at it. I hope that helps. If you have any questions, let me know, but that is my take on Dogecoin. It's a trade that you can maybe make money on. As a long-term investment, it would not be for me. So this is Vince Dowd. Remember, there's a war in progress, and the battlefield is your mind. Stop the hijackers and reclaim the power. You are the wealth you've been waiting for.